As we meander through the college football content Sahara that is the month of June, we figured we'd pluck some low-hanging fruit and slap a few top 5 lists together for a new recurring segment we're calling FTB Cover 5. Top 5 list, Cover 5. You get it? Get it? All right, whatever. Let's begin with our top 5 picks for stars in the making on Penn State's 2022 roster.
Number 5, Jordan Vandenberg.
Several buffets shy of 300 pounds, JUCO transfer Jordan Vandenberg was always going to be a muscly peg trying to fit in the round hole that was Brett Pry's defense. But with Manny Diaz calling the shots now, the second-year defensive tackle is like Goldilocks' final bowl of porridge. Just right and perfectly equipped to thrive in a scheme where speed and suddenness trump size. Unlike Pry's system, in which defensive tackles mainly ran interference on stunts and twists for defensive ends and second-level blitzers, Diaz loves to set up his big eaters to apply pressure on obvious passing downs. Vandenberg can do that. Last season, Vandenberg only appeared in 4 games, tallying 63 snaps from scrimmage. In that limited sample size, though, Vandenberg proved he possesses above-average play strength to survive double teams and maintain his gap. He also showcased enough short area quickness and burst to split guards and centers and infiltrate opposing backfields. But by far the most impressive tool found in Vandenberg's kit is his uncanny lateral pursuit. 290-pound humans aren't supposed to move like this. Period. And don't forget, Vandenberg didn't have any break last year. Because of COVID, his 2020 junior college season took place in the spring of 2021, meaning that when Vandenberg enrolled at Penn State in early June, he was still recovering from the bumps and bruises suffered during an 8-game slate that ended on May 21st. Figure a complete offseason workout regimen coupled with a full spring practice, well, it should do wonders for Vandenberg's development.
Number 4, Zakee Wheatley.
Considering the Maryland native only played 13 snaps last season, time is of the essence here. So let's rattle off the reasons why we're high on his potential before we run out of clips to cover my fat face. Despite Wheatley's long, wiry frame, the true freshman didn't duck from run support responsibilities and appeared competent when asked to turn and follow receivers. Although, keep in mind, we are totally scraping the bottom of the peanut butter jar here. It's absolutely impossible to form a concrete evaluation of Wheatley at this stage, especially since he's switching from corner to safety in 2022. So why exactly are we so bullish on this guy then? Well, most of our optimism arises from reports this spring that Wheatley was an absolute takeaway vulture in scrimmages and live-action drills. A turnover king complete with a photoshopped crown thanks to Penn State's graphics team. Conveniently, Wheatley's knack for taking the ball away and getting the offense back on the field is ingrained in Diaz's defensive ethos. As a defensive coordinator, Diaz's units have averaged 2 or more takeaways per game 5 times from 2010 to 2018, which was his last season as a defensive coordinator before becoming a head coach. In that same 9-year span, Penn State failed to average 2 or more takeaways in a single season.
Number 3, Tyler Warren.
If we were drafting a fantasy field day team from Penn State's trio of aces, well, we'd pick Theo Johnson and Brenton Strange way before we picked Tyler Warren. That's a no-brainer. But we're not doing that. We're looking for the best tight end fit in Mike Yurcich's offensive system, and that's Warren, and it's not even close. Under the radar and without much fanfare thanks to the flat-tired jalopy that was Penn State's run game in 2021, Warren graded out as the best run-blocking tight end in the James Franklin era. On digital tape, Warren was a technician and a tyrant all in one. A guy who brought plenty of nasty to the line of scrimmage and the second level, but never let his aggression cause him to be unsound or easy to discard. And though Warren wasn't asked to stay in and pass protect a ton last season, in the few opportunities given, he performed well. As a pass receiver, Warren was targeted just 9 times. Yet he was the only Penn State tight end to make a contested catch last season. Actually, he hauled in 2 contested catches. This one here versus Rutgers, and then this pivotal 4th and goal, harder than it looks touchdown grab against Michigan, where Warren literally had to box out the Wolverines' corner after he didn't take the run fake bait. Furthermore, Warren showed that he's a refined, nuanced route runner capable of executing delicate screens and rubs to free his teammates without drawing a flag. Warren's a sneaky matchup problem for linebackers and safeties too, as he's able to use his suitable speed and large frame to create separation and get open. Look for Warren's workload to grow exponentially this season.
Number 2, Kalen King.
Hyped more than Crystal Pepsi, The bar for Penn State true freshman Kalen King was set unfairly high following a spring practice performance for the ages. Therefore, when you isolate growing pain moments like this suspect DPI versus Wisconsin and King's inability to sift through the wash on what would be the game-winning touchdown versus Michigan, it's easy and lazy to classify King's Happy Valley debut as a disappointment. But when examining the totality of King's true freshman film, there are plenty of positives to point out. In the Franklin era, only John Reed in 2015 played more snaps at corner as a true freshman than King's 297 last season. Basically, as a true freshman on an elite defense, King was thrown into the fire and came out of the other side largely unscathed. As a much-used backup, King held his own in aggressive press man assignments against the best of the Big Ten. In zone and off-ball man situations, King was quick to trigger downhill on underneath routes, displaying rare physicality for a young 183-pound corner. As the season progressed, King improved as a run defender each and every week. In fact, his 4 highest graded PFF run performances occurred in Penn State's final 4 games of the season. Slated to start opposite projected first-round pick Joey Porter Jr., King should see a ton of traffic come his way early on this season, providing plenty of chances to make game-changing plays on the ball. Which brings us to our number 1 star in the making, Olu Fashanu. Uh-oh, we're doing it again. We're getting our hopes up about Penn State's offensive line, even though we promised not to after 2020 and 2021 crushed our soul into a little tiny cube. Sorry, but we just can't help ourselves. And Penn State left tackle of the future, Olu Fashanu, is largely to blame. Blessed with top-shelf length, power, and the ability to effortlessly move his huge but proportional 310-pound frame, Fashanu's Outback Bowl performance was the lone flower that grew from the pot of dirt that was Penn State's offense that day. Starting for the first time in his college career, all Fashanu did was post the 5th highest pass protection grade in the James Franklin era for a tackle. Fashanu didn't allow a single quarterback pressure, affording Sean Clifford plenty of time to miss his receivers downfield. Arkansas didn't get overly exotic with twists and stunts, but when they did, Olu handled them like an upperclassman, displaying an advanced football IQ and positional understanding that far surpasses his career snap count. Despite showcasing supreme initial quickness to handle speed rushers, Fashanu never seems to overset and get knocked off balance, which is impressive. Fashanu's athleticism was also on display as a run blocker too. Right here, we love his ability to get to the second level and latch onto a linebacker in space as Kevon Lee scoots by for 20-ish yards. The only question, really, is if Fashanu can reach and maintain a level of snap-to-snap consistency that his predecessor, Rasheed Walker, never achieved.